College Board has just announced some changes for accommodations starting spring 2025. How will this affect you? Well, first, you have to have accommodations on a College Board test, commonly the SAT or AP exams. In order to have accommodations, first, you should probably have accommodations at your high school. And second, you have to apply through the College Board's SSD office, the Services for Students with Disabilities office. Don't be mistaken into thinking that just because you received maybe your traditional extended time on campus during the PSAT in the fall, that you'll receive accommodations for things like AP exams or the SAT. You must be approved through the College Board. Very simple if you attend a high school, get your school counselor or your accommodations department to apply directly. If you're homeschooled, you need to start earlier than the 6 to 8 weeks they recommend because you're going to have to do the paperwork. Once you've been approved for accommodations, then you might be impacted by these changes. I'm going to go over them from the least impactful to the one that's going to impact the most students. The first change is they're changing some names. Instead of simply referring to it as time and a half testing, they're calling it up to time and a half testing. Nobody cares. The next, there are some temporary changes that are available. Had a student years ago was surfing the week before his SAT, broke his arm. Normally, we'd see some temporary accommodations put into place, and that was way back before the digital days when you had to bubble in answers. Now, College Board will accept some temporary changes only for seniors taking the SAT. Everybody else, it doesn't matter how hard you've been preparing, how ready you are otherwise, they're not going to grant accommodations for temporary changes. They're going to tell you if you're a junior, hey, just wait until later. Next, text reader availability. Instead of having to provide your own software, starting this spring, they're going to have a built-in text reader. I've got a student who's working with it right now. We're still trying to figure it out a little bit, but this is a good thing for students who have been approved to have a reader. In the past, I would have to coach my clients on, your counselor's doing this, you need to ask them to repeat, tell them to read this answer choice again. I think it's nice to be able to just have the digital version read it to you and it highlights it as it does. But it is something that if you haven't practiced with it before the test, you should. The big one, some changes to extended time. Here's the big thing. If you have been approved for extended time, and we're typically seeing that's 1.5 times extra, 1.5 times the normal, or up to double time usually, you don't have to sit until that full time has elapsed. Here's an example. Let's say that standard time on your reading is 32 minutes. Time and a half would have put you at 48 minutes. You no longer have to sit for that entire time. Anywhere between 32 and 48 minutes, if you finish, you can hit move on to the next section. That's great because so many students have extended time for various reasons. Maybe you have it because you have diabetes and you need to be checking your blood sugar. Sometimes you need to get up and get a snack, but you don't always have to. Or you have anxiety and sometimes your mind races and you need to step out into the hall and collect your thoughts to refocus. Same thing with things like ADD, but you don't always need all the time. So you do have to sit for the full amount of time. You cannot move before the 32 minutes traditional time is up, but you don't have to sit the full 48 if you finish at, for example, minute 36. I think this is a great benefit. It allows people that ability to have extra time, but it isn't really punishing them with the full longer amount if they don't need it. If you've got questions about how these changes might impact you or about what you need to do to work with College Board to get accommodations, subscribe to this channel or go check me out on collegeprepresults.com.